Chairs No Waiting, episode number 195, Leonard Blush. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by weaversdepartmentstore.com, pick up some of the wonderful Mayberry things you'll find there. DVDs, books, ties. Wow, if you want it, look around there. I bet you'll find something for Mayberry. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. Tonight's episode of Two Chairs No Waiting has executive producer has John Foster. Episode number 195 is executive producer. So thank you, John. Thank you, John, for helping me out on the podcast tonight. Now, John, actually, you can contribute to the podcast monetarily and donate to be a producer of the show, but you can also help with a topic. Well, this is a great episode tonight because we're going to be talking about Leonard Blush. And if you don't know who Leonard Blush is, Leonard Blush was the Masked singer. You know, he's somewhat of a legend in Mayberry. And, you know, he sang the Star-Spangled Banner at the opening of the County Insecticide Convention. Y'all knew that, didn't you? Well, we're going to talk about Leonard Blush, but talking about John Foster. He sent me a story about a pest control company. Yeah, I know. How's it? But the company's down in Florida, down in Destin, down in that area, the panhandle of Florida. And the owner of that company says his inspiration for creating the company 24 years ago was the Andy Griffith Show. Well, I'm sure Leonard Blush had something to do with that because he did sing the Star-Spangled Banner at the opening of the County Insecticide Convention. So I'm pretty sure that's where all of this got started, way back in Mayberry, all that time ago. So the first thing I want you to hear is this is going to be from the episode, the Songfesters. Okay, the Songfesters is the name of the episode. And we're going to hear a little bit about Leonard Blush from Eleonora. Now, Eleonora Poultice, that's his Barney's voice teacher. So let's go ahead and hear this clip of about Barney and Eleonora talking about Leonard Blush.
You're going to be another Leonard Blush.
Oh, no, that's too much to ask.
Well, why not? He just walked in here off the street one day. 2 years later, he sang the Star-Spangled Banner at the opening of the County Insecticide Convention. Rest is history.
And he still has that radio program, doesn't he?
Third Tuesday every month, station YLRB Mount Pilot.
Big time. Does he still wear that black mask when he sings on the radio?
No, he just wore that for a year when he had that skin condition.
Probably emotional. He went to the top so fast.
Very meteoric.
So he had a mask, the Masked Singer, that's where that came from, that he wore when he had that skin condition. Now, one more little clip we're going to hear about from the same episode, the Songfesters, is Andy and Barney talking about Barney, he's getting, bit by the performing bug. And this is, again, about Leonard Blush. So let's hear this clip.
What's on your mind?
Well, Andy, it looks like I've got it.
Well, don't get too close to me.
No, I don't mean the disease.
What have you got?
Well, brace yourself, Andy. According to Miss Poultice, well, I'm a big bundle of singing talent.
Oh, Miss Poultice told you that, did she?
Well, she compared me to Leonard Blush.
Who?
Leonard Blush. YLRB, Mount Pilot. Boy, do you live in a world of your own. He does all the vocals on the Ethel Page organ recital.
I've never heard any human words on that, just a canary singing in the background.
Andy, you're 10 years behind the times. That canary hasn't been with her since she sang Sunday afternoons at the Pot of Honey restaurant.
Oh.
So Andy had never heard any human words on that episode, just a canary singing in the background. Well, now tonight, what I want to tell you about is Leonard Blush singing down at the Insecticide Convention there in Mayberry. Must have helped inspire the folks over at, let's see the name of this actual company. It's called Emerald Coast Pest Control Company of Florida. So it's the Emerald Coast Pest Control Company of Florida. Now, this article was sent to me, as I said, by John Foster. He sent me this. He had run across it, and I thought this was an awesome story that I wanted to take a few minutes and convey some of it to you. It's not a commercial for this pest control company by any means, but this is on the website. It's called PCT, Pest Control Technology Online. His name, PCT Online. It's an article there. There'll be a link in the show notes about it. But here's what it's about. This is a brief summary of it, not the entire article. The article is actually is called PMP Profile, a Gem of a Business. Now, I didn't know what PMP meant, so I checked it out, and it's called Pest Management Professional. So you know Leonard Blush had something to do with this. A Gem of a Business, and it was written by Jordan Fox. And he talks about Emerald Coast Pest Control Company of Florida aspires to be the nicest group of service people of any kind that its customers ever used. And here's how they do it. Mike Sapp, the owner of Emerald Coast Pest Control in Florida, mentions that the Andy Griffith Show sitcom of the 1960s is his inspiration in creating this company 24 years ago. This is a quote from Mike. He says, "That show's special. Small town spirit of friendliness made me decide that we should emulate it and be an exceptionally good neighbors to our customers," he said. "So we constantly strive to hire the right people to exhibit that unique brand of friendliness as we provide high-quality pest control services and to give back to the community that is good to us." Sapp says he wants his employees to be, quote, "the nicest group of service people of any kind," end quote, that his customers ever use. Quote, "If people perceive us that way, that equals customer retention and business success over long term. We want to be very nice to our customers, but very bad to bugs," end quote, is what he said. It goes on. He talks about his strong customer and community service philosophies combined with his professionalism accounts for a continuing success of his organization. He says last year, in spite of the bad economy, it was one of the best years we ever had. Now, remember, this is about the Andy Griffith Show, but this is a guy who started a business 24 years ago based on the Andy Griffith Show in the way he treats people. He wants to treat people like the people of Mayberry treat each other, like Andy Taylor taught the other people, or treated the other people there in Mayberry. I thought this is awesome. Now, going back to community service, he talked about that as well. He wants to do things for the community, not just get business from the community. He says, to back up his commitment to the Emerald Coast community, which is in the Destin, Florida area, Sapp wanted to financially support as many institutions as he could, such as orphanages and churches that clothe and feed children. Quoting him, he says, "I did some homework to determine which ones we wanted to help, and over the years I've helped them. We tried to help them achieve their good works," he said. And those decisions initially were Sapp's to make. He made them himself, the owner of the company, but he wanted his employees to take ownership of this important community relationship philosophy. And so now he provides his staff with photos and information about potential recipients of the company's monetary contributions, their donations, and he listens to their recommendations. Quoting him, he says, "We're extremely grateful and thankful for the business we have and for what we've helped to accomplish for the people in need," says Sapp. "I think we can truly call ourselves a good neighbor, like Andy Taylor and his fellow Mayberry residents," end quote. I thought this was a wonderful story. And I don't normally read pest control technology online, but I want to thank John for sending me this link, and it's definitely going to be in the show notes as well, so you'll be able to go and read this for yourself. And I'm almost sure that if Mike Sapp had an opportunity, he would hire Leonard Blush to come and sing at his business. So this was just a cool tie-in, I thought, to not only the way people behave in the Andy Griffith Show and the character we try to portray, or should try, as fans of the Andy Griffith Show. We should have that same spirit of Mayberry, is what we've always called it, or I have. And this guy, Mike Sapp, in this business, a pest control company, actually focused his business on purpose to be like the Andy Griffith Show. So I thought that was awesome, especially since Leonard Blush got his start singing the Star-Spangled Banner at the insecticide convention. Now, here's another bit. We get to actually hear Leonard Blush just a little bit. Now, this is a different episode. This is an episode called Barney's Bloodhound. Now, in Barney's Bloodhound, the very beginning of the episode, Barney comes into the courthouse heading toward the radio.
What's the matter?
You kidding? It's time for Leonard Blush.
I didn't know it was that late.
This is WMPD, the voice of Mount Pilot. And now, stay tuned for Leonard Blush, the masked singer. Hello there. This is Leonard Blush. We have had some very nice letters this morning, and I'd like to start off today's program with a request. One of my favorites, and I hope one of yours. Who is Sylvia? We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
That's Ernest T. Bass talking, by the way.
Police report that a state penitentiary convict has escaped. He is Ralph Neal, 5 feet 10 inches, 165 pounds. The public is warned to use extreme caution. He is armed and dangerous. We repeat, dangerous. We return you now.
What do you think about that, Aunt?
All right.
Sounds like that Neil's a pretty tough character.
So just in case you didn't notice, the voice of Leonard Blush and the announcer for the radio station was Howard Morris, Ernest T. Bass himself. That was him doing the voice. Now, just so you know, in Barney's Bloodhound is episode number 128 filmed, and the 133rd episode of the Andy Griffith Show aired. It aired back in October 26, 1964. And the director, Howard Morris. So he saved himself some money by casting himself as the radio announcer, or got paid for that, maybe. I'm sure he did for using that. But that was him as as Leonard Blush. So anyway, I thought that was a cool thing. Now, if you hadn't seen that episode, you need to go check it out and hear Howard Morris as the voice of Leonard Blush and the radio announcer. That was him in both cases. So I hope you guys like that. I always think those kind of things are very interesting. Now, there's the episode, obviously, we were talking about earlier, Eleanor Poultice. Y'all guys remember that, and I'm sure fans all know this. But the actress Rita Shaw, who played Eleonora, also appeared earlier on the Andy Griffith Show as on the episode Convicts at Large as Big Maud Tyler. Now, I'm sure all of you guys already knew that, but I just wanted to point that out because, you know, you can't ever get over all these different little bits in there. Now, a little bit of trivia. If you'll remember, and it was in the clip, what radio station did Leonard Blush come on? And it was YLRB in Mount Pilot. YLRB. Now, there was also mention that the radio station in Mount Pilot was WMPT. So, you know, one of those is wrong, or because, well, first off, as far as I know, there are never any radio stations that start with the letter Y. I've never heard of that. YLRB. I never heard of that. But anyway, I thought that was a little bit of trivia. And also in the episode, The Songfesters, the first episode we were talking about, actress Barbara Griffith, Andy Griffith's wife at the time, was in that episode. So just so you'll know that if you're looking for it, that's the episode she was in. All right, folks. Well, that's all I have for you in that part of the show tonight. But I've got a couple of other things I want to share with you that had gotten written into me and things. You remember a couple of episodes ago, episode number 193, we had listener feedback. If you hadn't heard it, head over there and listen. And one of the callers, his name was Gary Page, had asked a question about how much the actors made each season of the Andy Griffith Show. Well, I didn't know the answer, so I asked if there's anybody out there that knows the answer to that to give us a call or to write in or something and let us know. Well, Paul Mulick, he wrote me an email. He wrote a message. Actually, he posted it at facebook.com/2chairs. He posted it there. He says, a recent caller, Gary Page, to the podcast wanted to know the salaries of various Andy Griffith Show cast members. I recall one time when George Lindsay was appearing on a talk show. He thinks it was Crook and Chase. He said he earned about $2,000 per episode. He said, that $2,000 a week might not sound like much today, but back then one could buy a new Cadillac for $6,000. According to his autobiography, by the time the Andy Griffith Show evolved into Mayberry RFD, his salary had risen to $4,000 per episode. I don't know what Andy Griffith's salary was, but it's safe to assume it would have been several times as much as George's. And he goes on to say, I do not know what a new Cadillac costs nowadays, but whatever it is, 1/3 of that amount would be a very nice weekly salary. That's a good point. I don't know either, but let's say it's 30,000. So $10,000 a week is pretty good salary. And I think probably Cadillacs cost a little bit more than that, but that was an easy number to do a third. See how I did that? 30,000, a third's 10,000. Math is hard. Math is hard. Just ask Opie. All right. We got one more little bit of wow, Mayberry happens everywhere. Since this episode, we were talking about Leonard Blush and this pest control company. Wow, Mayberry happens everywhere when a pest control company is based on Mayberry to some extent. We have in our chat room every week, Goober Fife. And he told me just before the show started about telling one of the other folks in our chat room, KJ, he goes on to say, he says, I told KJ, there's another person in our chat room, so drop by on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern time for the live recording of the show. But he says, I told KJ about my trip to Lowe's Saturday. A lady was passing out snow cones to the customers. And get this, he said, she asked if I wanted one. And he said, I said yes, unless she was the kind of girl that bites the bottom off of it and sucks out all the juice. Like Barney, talking about that. And she said she only does it to Barney. He said, my Mayberry cap must have given me away. And I asked him, did this really happen? He said, yes. So that really happened at Lowe's last Saturday night. And I thought that was an awesome story of things happening in Mayberry. The lady caught on to it perfectly and said, I only do that to Barney. Oh, that's awesome. That is so great. I want to thank him for sharing that with us before the show started as well. And folks, hey, I want to invite you over there. It's always a great time. You can drop by the imayberrycommunity.com website. There's a barbershop chat there. And every week I try to post an announcement that, hey, we're going to be having fun in the chat room tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time with the recording of Two Chairs, No Waiting podcast. And folks show up in there. Let's see how many we got right now. Usually we have about 20, but it's a holiday weekend, so we only have about 12 in here tonight, presently. And but I definitely want to encourage you to drop by the iMayberry community, sign up to be a member. We got about 300 folks in the room or in the iMayberry community, 350, 370 folks, something like that. And they are visiting there together. And right now they're in the chat room, just having a good time talking to one another as I blather on here in the podcast. So I definitely want to encourage you to drop by there and be a part of it. Get to know these folks, because Mayberry folks are everywhere, even at Lowe's on Saturday nights giving out snow cones. Drop by and be a part of the whole thing. Well, folks, I want to thank you for being a part of the podcast this week. And just I want to invite you back every week for the podcast and go back and listen to all those old episodes. Now, I want to warn you, the podcast, we have about 1 year and 2 weeks left, because I want to go to episode number 249, because that's how many episodes of the Andy Griffith Show there were. And I don't want to go over that. So probably what I'll end up doing is doing another podcast that'll do a follow-on, just keep going with this stuff, because I enjoy this. I hope you do too. But this podcast, Two Chairs, No Waiting, will probably end in about 1 year and 2 weeks. So we got 1 year and 2 weeks left. So get in here with us, and then we'll just follow on with another podcast about the Andy Griffith Show and keep going. But I don't feel right about going past 249. If you got any strong opinions on that, call me at 888-684-8415, or you can give me a voicemail directly there on the website too. You can go there, and there's it says it says send voicemail. You just click that button. And if you have a microphone on your computer, you can record it directly and send it right to me. It'd be great to hear from you like that. Or you can email me at floyd@imayberry.com. Or like Paul did tonight, you can drop by facebook.com/2chairs. Leave me a message there. I'll see it. And just anyhow you want to get in touch with me, I'd love to hear from you about what you think about the podcast, maybe ending in a year and a half or a year and 2 weeks. Or just anything else. Stuff like John sent me today that helped us have this episode. Love to hear from you. Guys, have a great 4th of July if you're listening to this live. If you're not, I hope you had a great 4th of July. And we'll see you next week on 2 Chairs, No Waiting.